Are we live? Is your boy, I'm Chris the Don, one live? Man, I'm live and direct, full of flesh, and I'm also live while I'm driving. How y'all doing this Saturday morning? How everyone's doing this lovely Saturday morning? All right, so let's get the theatrics out the way. What up, people? It's your boy, the host with the most. I'm Chris the Don, one, and I am back with another certified video. Please be sure to hit the subscription bell, hit the notification button. Also, like, share my content with your friends, family, as well as your followers. If you want to continue or give more support to my YouTube channel, please be sure to hit the membership button. If you join membership, you get shiny, pristine badges as you comment on my live streams. So what's up? What's crack-a-lacking? We got a lot of stuff to talk about. First thing we're going to talk about on this lovely Saturday morning is what's going on with Kyrie Irving. So apparently, Kyrie Irving is not going to take the vaccine. And with this stance of Kyrie Irving, it has caused a lot of stress and turmoil with the Brooklyn Nets organization. Sean Marks, the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, has issued a statement, even though they support Kyrie's decision. They're not necessarily co-signing it, which means Kyrie Irving will not be playing any home or away games. He will not be practicing in the stadium. And the Brooklyn Nets organization also decided that they're going to pull their offer as far as an extension with Kyrie Irving. Now, earlier this summer, they signed Kevin Durant to a contract extension. Wrong Kevin, Chris. Wrong Kevin, right? They signed Kevin Durant to an extension. They're in the process of signing James Harden to an extension. They kind of want him under contract and under wraps because they have given a lot. They gave up a lot to get James Harden. And at this point, they don't want James Harden a loss and as a rental. So they want to sign him long term or short term, any type of term. They just want to sign him more than just this year and beyond, right? And they were working and they were in conversations, in light talks with Kyrie Irving. But due to Kyrie Irving's stance, he's not going to take the vac. And he also stated that on his Instagram Live, and I'm just paraphrasing what Kyrie Irving said, was he's not against the vax, and he's not against people that took in the vax. He's not even against people who did not take the vax. It doesn't matter if you're for or against the vax. He's the voice of the voiceless. Close quote from Kyrie Irving. A lot of people, after watching Kyrie Irving's Instagram Live, a lot of people are saying that Kyrie Irving was just pretty much all over the place. And everyone is more confused about Kyrie Irving's stance for the vax, even though he's not against getting vax, and he's not against people who don't want to get vax. But Kyrie Irving is taking a stand, and his stance is he's not going to take the vax. Now, Kyrie Irving was hoping that the Brooklyn Nets can get around this, finagle the rules and regulations. Now, cities such as New York City, Los Angeles, a lot of mainstream big cities are putting a mandate in effect where if you work around a lot of people, or if your work is dealing with a lot of the general population, uh, they are preferring people to take the vax. Uh, Teachers are taking the vax, doctors, nurses, medical officials are taking the vax, politicians are taking the vax, policemen, firefighters, ambulance, paramedics, are taking the vax. Anyone that's waiters, waitresses, retail workers, gas station attendants, anyone that has a job where they have to work around people, which is like 90% of all jobs out there when you really think about it, uh, have to take the vax. Now, maybe 90% is too high, but I really do feel like if you're working, more than often people are working around a lot of other people. It can be employees or customers, but nevertheless, whatever they labeled as, if you work around a large group of people, you're going to have to take the vax. Now, a lot of people, and I made a video a couple of days ago, and I had a very interesting comment, and a lot of people thinking that this is much bigger than taking the vaccine. And I just can't comprehend that theory because I don't know if people are aware of this, but people are dying. There's a lot of people dying from this disease. And the majority of the people that are dying from this disease are people that are not taking the vax. Now, I will state this, and I stated this on my podcast, my videos, everything. Nothing is guaranteed. Just because you take the vax, that doesn't necessarily mean you're immune to the disease. But it is a smaller percent chance of you catching the disease. The risks are very low if you take the vax versus someone who does not take the vax, and the risk is a little bit higher for those who choosing not to take the vax. Now, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and before I state this, I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be one. I'm not even a doctor on television, but I will say this: there's a lot of people out there that's gotten this disease, and the majority of these people have not taken the vax. Okay, and there are a lot of contributing factors on why people are getting this disease in them. Okay, it could be your health situation. You might be overweight. Uh, you probably not taking better care of yourself, but uh, that's not the majority of people that are catching this disease. Younger people are catching this disease. Uh, Children are catching this disease, and if we want to somehow get somewhat on top of this disease, then everyone is going to probably have to take this vaccine. Now, you are free to do whatever you want to do because it's not mandated to take this vax. Okay, it is not mandated. All right, but there are a lot of states that's having this mandate, a lot of larger states, and I feel like a lot of smaller states are going to follow suit, particularly when they look at the stats and it shows that these larger cities are got this mandate and it's not that many people catching this disease. Okay, so that's going to play a part in as far as other states, copycatting the bigger states. Right. So back to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has every right, whether or not if he don't want to take the vaccine. Can't nobody really make you take the vaccine. All right. However, in this particular time, we need all hands on deck, and we just don't want to get anyone getting sick or, anyone dying from this disease. Now, last year around this time, when this disease reared its ugly, foul, filthy head, a lot of people, and we were not aware of how you got it. We were not, and there was a lot of ailments when people did get the disease. Uh, a lot of people were in frantic mode, and last year when they did a poll on when they did their stats and their statistics on a lot of these states, California and New York suffered the most, okay, because of the politicians, the powers that be, really didn't want to shut down the city, and they really had to wait until more lives were lost until they finally came to the decision, well, we need to do something. Even as far as mandating masks, a lot of larger cities did not want to do that. California and New York City, a lot of those bigger cities did not want to close or shut down their beaches and shut down the state because they was getting so much pushback from a lot of people that didn't want to wear masks in public. They didn't want the city to shut down. All right. And that's all fine and dandy. However, people have to come into the realization that uh, this is a disease that has killed generations upon generations. Not when people look at this disease and they look at the news, they hear about the older or the grandparents or older people get, and that's front page news and all. However, a lot of people are not aware of this disease also is killing the youth as well. So, as far as Kyrie Irving staying, I don't want to keep going back and forth. As far as Kyrie Irving's stance, he has every right to feel this way. However, he works in the National Basketball Association, and every player in the National Basketball Association has taken the vax. Now, there has been a few here and there that did not want to take it, and the teams and the organization said, "Fine, we can't force you to take the vax. However, you can't force us to allow you to continue to come into the arena. The possibility of you, if you get the disease, contaminating other people and slowing down. We just can't have one or two people slowing down the progress that we made thus far." Okay, and I apologize for that noise if y'all hear that noise in the background. That's fine and dandy. You have the right to not take the vaccine. However, we as the organization has the right to put safeguards in so no one comes into this building is not vaccinated, or we don't know whether or not they have the disease or not. Now, we could go back and like we did last year and check everyone's temperature and things of that nature. But notice how, that those safeguards helped a little bit. It did not help a lot. Okay. So I feel like Kyrie Irving is positioning himself on a hill that a lot of people are unwilling to take a stand on. And this hill is jeopardizing the successful season the Brooklyn Nets could have had if Kyrie Irving was attending. Now, Kevin Garnett. I said Kevin Garnett again. It's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant and James Harden. They said we're doing business as usual. Okay. If Kyrie doesn't want to take, we can't force Kyrie Irving to take the vaccine. All right. Or take the vaccine. And they're just moving along. So far, so good. they are looking like they're still the favorites, but they can be a solid favorite if Kyrie Irving changes his mind. Now, Kyrie Irving has the rest of this season to change his mind and probably go ahead and get vaccinated, because a lot of people that is for this decision understand that even though you want to take this stance, you're going, and a lot of people don't realize this. And I say this in my video. You have this, you have the right to make your own decision, but you also have to be aware of the consequences and repercussions of your decision. And I don't think Kyrie Irving was fully aware of the consequences and repercussions that is going to factor with this decision. And I feel like he's coming to the realization and the possibility of a lot of stuff he can jeopardize by just taking this stand. Second of all, there's not a lot of people that's on that same heel with Kyrie Irving. No one's not planting their flag too, going like, well, if Kyrie Irving's going to do it, I'm going to do it too. Okay. So no one is willing to take that stand. Okay. I wish the best for Kyrie Irving, but and like I said in numerous podcasts and videos, even on social media, people are going to overlook the message, and they're going to pretty much waste their time and effort on the messenger, which is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is no stranger to controversy. This is his third team that by him doing things his way, it causes tension, and he's more of a distraction on these ball clubs. Remember, he was when he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Cleveland Cavaliers had issues with him. LeBron James had issues with him. All right. He wanted to be his own man and his own team. Okay. So the Cleveland Cavaliers were forced to trade him to the Boston Celtics. They could have traded him to anywhere else, but the amount of picks and Isaiah Thomas, a lot of those teams were not or was unwilling, or at that time just didn't have enough to orchestrate that trade. And when Kyrie Irving went to Boston, he was his own man. He had his own team, but his short stint with Boston didn't end very well either. I would say Brad Stevens and Kyrie Irving, they had an awkward type relationship. Danny Ainge couldn't fully wrap his arms around Kyrie Irving, particularly his comments and his decisions. Kyrie Irving was all over the place, and then Kyrie Irving talked about the Boston area being racist, which, if you've been around the block, even though I said there's racism everywhere, but I feel like in Boston, a lot of players are talking about it. A lot of players were complaining about it. And, yes, in 2021, we still have to talk about and deal with racism. Okay. And I understand where Kyrie Irving was coming from, but that was present even before you got traded there. All right. And, you being a smart man, you would think he would have researched this, or would have, I'm pretty sure other ball players, other coaches, other personnel had spoken to him about the Boston area, and those are things you have to take in consideration when you wanted to be traded to Boston. Anyway, it did not work. I feel like it really didn't work because the Boston Celtics were more successful when Kyrie Irving was injured than when Kyrie Irving played on the floor. People seem to forget that Boston Celtic team, and Kyrie Irving was injured for that for the playoffs. That team went all the way close. That team went closer to the NBA Finals versus the next year when Kyrie Irving was fully healthy. Kyrie Irving couldn't get that team to the promised land. There was They were nowhere near close to the NBA Finals the following year, which Kyrie Irving left the Boston Celtics and went to the Brooklyn Nets. Now Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, are friends, and they thought it would be a great idea for Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to join forces and go to Brooklyn. At first, they was going to go to the New York Knicks, but the New York Knicks was unwilling to give Kevin Durant the type of contract Kevin Durant wanted, and they just took their talents to Brooklyn, and everything was business. Everything was a huge success. Everything was fine and dandy. And to make it even better for them, to sweeten the pot, last year they got James Harden, and they got Blake Griffin. When Blake Griffin got a buyout from Detroit, I believe, and they also got LaMarcus Aldridge that came to that team, but he couldn't finish because of health reasons. But that team was a certified lock. And if everyone could have stayed healthy or somewhat healthy, they could have won the NBA Finals last year. Okay, remember, the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA Finals, and a lot of things just really didn't go the way of Brooklyn. Now they want to run it back. James Harden is healthy. Kevin Durant is doing spectacular things. He won the Olympics. He won a gold medal in the Olympics. He's more healthier than he ever was. And you got all these factors playing a part. You got Blake Griffin re-signing to the Brooklyn Nets. You got Paul Millsap joining the Brooklyn Nets, and you would think life would be good for the Brooklyn Nets, but Kyrie Irving took this stance of not taking the vax, and I feel like ultimately it's probably going to hurt this team unless Kyrie Irving comes to his senses and say, well, you know what, it's good to take that stand, but I need to move on. Ultimately, the way this is going to end, and now people are talking about the possibility of Kyrie Irving possibly be getting traded, but who would want to trade for Kyrie Irving? Kyrie Irving is a headache right now, okay? And like I said in a video, Kyrie Irving, I don't think basketball is numero uno in Kyrie Irving. It doesn't have to be numero uno, but I don't think basketball is one of the things he really wanting to do great in. Okay, I think it's down on the list, and he doesn't really have a strong desire or a commitment as far as the sport of basketball. So, a desperate team would be interested in picking up Kyrie Irving, but what they're going to give in return. Okay, so you got that theory going on. It's just a mess with Kyrie Irving, but it is what it is, and hopefully this gets addressed, and hopefully cooler heads are going to prevail, and maybe Kyrie Irving comes back to the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets going to welcome him with open arms. Kevin Durant's going to open him with open arms. James Harden. I don't think Kyrie Irving and James Harden really had a solid relationship, friendship. He just sort of plays with them, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, that's what's going on with Kyrie Irving, and hopefully Kyrie Irving comes to the realization that there's a lot of things to stand up for, and I just don't think this is one of them. Okay, and I don't really think he really thought it through. Okay, so segue from that to John Gruden. Now this happened around Monday or Tuesday early this week, and I shouldn't say breaking news, but John Gruden has resigned from the Oakland Raiders. Now people are wondering, why did John Gruden step away from the Did I say Oakland Raiders? Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, why? Apparently some emails came up and John Gruden said some not so flattering things in these emails. He talked about DeMar Smith, lips are like Michelin tires. He also had a conversation with some personnel that was in the Washington football team organization, showing pictures of cheerleaders, topless cheerleaders, sharing them. I don't know who took the pictures, but either way, doesn't matter if it was John Gruden or whoever. Just you being in that type of situation is not a good look for you. He also said some not so flattering things to the commissioner. Roger Goodell called him the F word. I'm just going to let you guys figure out what that F word is. John Gruden John Gruden said if he hates pretty much everything, okay, or if he doesn't hate it, he's not familiar with a lot of things. He pretty much his communication was negative tones about women. He was a sexist. He was a racist. The LPQ community do not like John Gruden. The gay community does not like John Gruden because John Gruden has said a lot of things about a lot of these organizations. And right now, John Gruden is radioactive. He's a dumpster fire. No one wants to touch John Gruden with a 10-foot pole. John Gruden, now I heard a lot of analysts say it, to salvage his reputation and his legacy, he had no choice but to step down. But I feel like he already lit the match and poured lighter fluid on it, and he just destroyed his legacy. He destroyed his reputation. There's no way on God's loving green earth John Gruden is ever going to be a coach for any organization or for any league. Okay, the NFL, collegiate sports, high school football, middle school football, Pop Warner, the lingerie league, parking lot football, amateur football. It doesn't even matter what type of football or what type of team organization it is. John Gruden destroyed that. He destroyed that in a middle second. And in other news, John Gruden's name has been removed in the ring of honor for the Raiders. Okay, now John Gruden was a coach of the Oakland Raiders many moons ago, decided to take his talents to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now he went into broadcasting. He was into broadcasting with ESPN doing Monday Night Football. He had a Monday Night Football gig, and when he got ultra famous, super famous for doing that, Al Davis' son said, you know what, let's bring John Gruden back to the Raiders family. He signed a 10-year contract a couple of seasons ago. It was $100 million. He had control in that organization, had final say-so in that organization, and, starting to turn the Raiders around. I believe the Raiders were 3-1 when all of this went down. And John Gruden was turning the Raiders into, there was no longer the laughing stock, turning them into a contending team, a playoff team. And when this news came out, when we was hearing little tidbits of these emails last weekend, a lot of ex and current players were saying, even though they were not too pleased with what John Gruden said in these emails, they still was somewhat supporting him. And then the New York Times said, you know what, if you think those emails were off the chart, wait until we unleash these other emails. And then John Gruden, it was just over with for John Gruden. John Gruden is never going to play football again. I mean, will never coach football again. I don't know what John Gruden is going to do, but my opinion there, John Gruden has already apologized, not once, not twice, but 3 times. That still ain't good enough. This is more of a controversy than when Drew Brees was talking about Black Lives Matter and about kneeling to the flag. And Drew Brees somewhat destroyed his reputation in the National Football League. Now he got everyone to come together somewhat because he done apologized multiple times. He said he didn't mean it that way. But if he would have, stood on that, I think, as far, he's no longer playing football. He works for NBC Sports. I don't think that job would come to him if he would have still stood on those issues. I don't even think Drew Brees would have made it last year. And even though he knew that was his final year, I felt like that's one of the reasons why he wanted to hurry up and get in front of that story and apologize immediately. Okay, but it is what it is. John Gruden, I mean, there's not really a lot to say about John Gruden at this point. I think John Gruden did more harm than good, and still to this day, people are talking about John Gruden. I feel like in the next couple of years, John Gruden is going to be removed from football history. I think he's going to be like the Pete Rose of football, and people are going to apply. People are going to talk more about John Gruden's achievements as far as these emails go, and they're also saying there were other coaches and personnel in the NFL that was part of this. John Gruden was part of this good old boy network that was sending emails to one another that had racial tones in them, sexist tones in them, homophobic tones in them. And now the man done lost his job. He done ruined his career. I don't think he's ever going to coach football on a grand scale anymore. I don't think anyone's going to take a chance on him. And if you think that a network's going to pick him up, you can forget that. ESPN is wiping their hands from John Gruden. Fox Sports 1 is not even going to touch John Gruden. How desperate NBC Sports is, they just signed Maria Taylor. They got Drew Brees. They already done got Drew Brees. And when they got Drew Brees had some baggage on him, and they went on and took a chance on him. I don't even think they're going to sign John Gruden, even CBS Sports. So it is what it is. But John Gruden, he can just kiss where the sun don't shine his career goodbye. So enough on John Gruden. Let's segue into Rory and Mal. So apparently Rory and Mal got the last laugh on Joe Budden. They signed an exclusive deal with Stacker, I believe, Slacker. I've heard of this application before, but I heard it like 3 or 4 years ago. I remember this app, and this app is basically where you want to listen to podcasts, okay? And when I heard about it, podcasting was a new frontier. Not a lot of people were into podcasting like they are now. So Rory and Mal signed a $10 million deal with Slacker. Terms were not disclosed. And if you look at the deal, if you just look at the deal as far as the money amount, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for you. That's a lot of money for me. That's a lot of money for anybody. That's a lot of dough for the majority of us. But in the podcasting world, that's not a hill of beans. Okay, that's nothing to be saying we accomplished. Now, I will give them their flowers. I will give them their I will salute them. I will stand up and clap for them. I wish this guy come on and move with all that goddamn loud music, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, we will give them their flowers. But when you compare this deal to, let's start off with Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne the God got a podcast deal, and he has his own network. Okay, and if you compare Rory and Mal to even his deal, it's like apples and oranges. Okay, now if you look at DJ Academics, he's into the podcasting scheme of things. Even though I feel like DJ Academics was in podcasting for men when he does when he talks on Twitch. I consider that format a podcast, but he thinks it's otherwise. But anywho, he's officially into podcasting, and he has a deal doing it. And I feel like DJ Academics' deal is bigger than Rory and Mal's deal. And let's talk about their current boss, Joe Budden. Joe Budden turned away renegotiating, re-up with Spotify, and that deal was a lot of money on the table. And that there was more money on the table that Joe Budden just didn't want to re-sign with Spotify. If he would have re-signed with Spotify, that deal, I mean, just the meeting bones of that deal was a better deal than Rory and Mal's deal. Okay. Now, a lot of people talked about how Joe Budden is maneuvering his content. He's making his content exclusively for his paid members on I forgot the Patreon. He does Patreon. I think he also has another deal with Facebook, and those are for the paid members. So the paid members get the content first, and then YouTube and iTunes and all the other platforms get it at a later date. All right. And a lot of people were talking about how that wasn't a good idea for Joe Budden. That wasn't a good look. It sort of split his audience, particularly when Rory and Mal is coming out with their episodes, and they get to hear Rory and Mal's episodes before, particularly if you're on YouTube, you hear Rory and Mal's episodes before you hear Joe Budden's on YouTube. Okay. So everyone was talking about that, how that's ultimately going to hurt Joe Budden. But when it comes to this deal is exclusively for the Slacker app. So people are going to listen to this pod. The people who download that app will hear this content first, the Rory and Mal content first, before anyone else. I don't know if it's going to be 6 hours before anybody else or 24 hours before anybody else. Okay. But normally with exclusive deals, they get the content first. And no, there's no terms as far how, do the application own the content of Rory and Mal's? Do they own the IP of Rory and Mal? Do they own the name, the likeness of Rory and Mal? We're not aware of that. I don't think, when I read the article, there was no terms discussed about the contract. Also, $10 million, time you pay taxes, time you pay, your staff, and anything else, studio, all that stuff is going to eat away from the $10 million. I'm not saying all that stuff costs a lot of money that I'm saying, but what I am saying is how much of that money, of that $10 million, Rory and Mal is going to get. All right. So yes, I feel like the deal itself is a good deal. But however, it's great money for me, you, or anyone out there. However, when you compare this deal with their competition or their competitors, that's how you base it, whether or not a deal is good enough. It's not good than those other places I just mentioned. Okay. So I'm like, and then two, a lot of people were laughing at how Joe Budden was doing business as far as his content, being his paid members get to listen to the content before we do. A lot of people were talking about that. Okay, well, where's all the laughter with what Rory and Mal's going to do? Because this is an exclusive deal. Okay. Now I feel like there's a lot of good things, a lot of great things Rory and Mal did, including this deal. This is a great deal. I'm not hating on the deal, but them, signing with Kevin Durant's media company, 35 and Venture. I thought that was great for them. I feel like them doing their own podcast is good. But a lot of people like myself. Oh, and as far as $1 million worth of $1 million worth of game deal, Gilly and Wallow's deal is better than Rory and Maul. All right. And we don't even know how much they're getting on the $1 million worth of game. Okay. But let's just say money wise, the deal, if you compare it only money wise, let's just go ahead and say Rory and Maul deal money wise is better than $1 million worth of game. Let's just go ahead and hypothetically say that. But what makes the $1 million worth of game contract better than Rory and Maul? They own their IP. They own their likeness. They own their content. Okay. So if let's just say Gilly and Wallow leaves Barstool Sports, they can take their likeness, their name, their content elsewhere and sign an exclusive deal. And Rory and Maul is not going to be able to do that. Okay. Now, Charlamagne the God's deal is, he doesn't own his IP, the content, but Charlamagne the God don't even care about that. He just creates shows. When he'll just leave a show that he done created, start something fresh and new someplace else, and it'll be business as usual. A lot of people can do that. Charlamagne the God can do that. Joe Budden can do that. DJ Academics can do that. On a smaller scale, Wallow and Gilly the Kid, they can do that. Okay. But I don't think Rory and Maul is going to be able to do that. Okay. Now, the show itself, I've been here. The show itself, it's been hits and misses. All right. I feel like Rory and Maul should talk about topics that are, trend setting on a particular day. All right. A lot of their topics are just stuff that they want to talk about, which is cool. You can have shows like that. However, I feel like Rory and Maul should do trending topics that they can elaborate and talk on. Another thing I feel like wouldn't hurt on their show is having a third wheel there. And I feel like they should have a third person, maybe a female that's outside the realm where they reside in, or a comedian, whatever, to spice it up. Okay. They need someone with either entertainment, swag, or very knowledgeable, funny knowledgeable, that that the listeners can identify to. And I feel like if they get that third person, it's nothing but all the way up for them. Another thing about Rory and Maul is Spotify could have signed Rory and Maul to a contract or an exclusive contract. And this just goes to show that Spotify was more concerning of Joe Budden than the Joe Budden show with Rory and Maul. And you would think they have done business with Spotify. You would think Spotify would be the first one that would answer the phone, but they didn't. Right in the podcasting world, the two dominant markets is the iTunes Podcast Center and Spotify. If you have a podcast and it's on iTunes or Spotify, that's the bulk of your listening audience. Now, yeah, there are other applications, there are other like Google Play Store and all that, but none of those places compare to a Spotify or an iTunes Podcast Center. Okay. And Rory and even Pandora, Rory and Maul are just not in that in that sphere, in that they did, a lot. I don't think a lot of listeners in those two worlds have a huge demand for Rory and Mal. Excuse me, I had a brain fart there, but yeah. So yeah, that's all I got. I wish these guys the best of luck on their new endeavors. I feel like this is great. This is great money for you and I, and it's probably great money for Rory and Mal when you think of it. When you really think about it. But when you start comparing this deal to other people that's been there and done that, it's not a large deal, okay? And the crazy thing about these deals, and this is not any slight to Rory and Mal, but when I read the article and the headline is so and so signed a $10 million deal, so and so signed a $5 million deal, so and so signed a $1 million deal, okay, and that's the headline, that's the catcher, and you go like, oh man, they must have signed a phenomenal deal. But in retrospect, when you look at the contract and you start reading the contract, you be like, oh, well, this wasn't all that good of a deal. I mean, it was good for them to announce it, but it wasn't like the deals of all deals. But yeah, that's all I got for Rory and Ma. I wish them the best of luck. All right, so I'm done for today. All right. I want to appreciate everyone who listened to this podcast. I mean, listened to this live stream, who watched it. Please be sure to subscribe to the subscription tab, hit the notification bell, like the video, share it with your friends, family, and followers. If you want to support this thing even more, if you respect the journey and the grind, hit the join membership. You get a cool shiny badge, and you get when you comment, so you can support that way. All this stuff is obligated. You're not forced to do this, okay? Like Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's not forced to take the vaccine, okay? So yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. I will talk to you guys at a later date. I may stream Back for Blood on this YouTube channel. I was doing it on Twitch, so I might just give Twitch a rest, give Twitch a break, and do another live stream on this video. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be later on this evening. Guys, it's your boy, the host with the most. I'm Chris the Don One. I will talk to you guys later. Please be sure to subscribe to my other YouTube channel, Just My Opinion. I just did a video on Rory and Mal's contract on a grand scheme of things. Also, don't forget to subscribe me on my other links. They're in the description. I will talk to you guys later. Deuces.